There we go. All right, we're live. Good. We're all live and professional as always. Let's see how. There we go. All right. The broadcast is going, so let's get going here. Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. It's Friday, February 12th, 2021. Today, we're talking about Siri's new musical capabilities, folding iPhones, and more on the Apple Car because this is the iMore show. Joining me, as always, is iMore contributor Karen Freeman.
Hi, everybody.
And also joining us today is iMore's chief newsman, Stephen Warwick. Hi, Stephen. Welcome to the show.
Hello. Thanks for having me again.
Yeah. Lots of interesting stuff to talk about this week, both news and rumor, and some news about rumors. So let's dive in. I wanted to start today talking about this. Well, last week we spent a good deal of time talking about the potential Hyundai Kia Apple Car thing, and this week we now know that's not going to be so much of a thing.
I just want to say I'm vindicated here because I said it didn't make any sense for Apple to partner with Kia. I said it wasn't. It just didn't work. Didn't work for me, and I guess Apple thought so too.
The wheels have come off. We would say.
Yes, you're not writing headlines right now, but that one's pretty good.
There are so many more of those to come. Don't worry.
Oh, good. I'm happy about that. So, Stephen, why don't you walk us through a little bit what's going on here?
Yeah, well, I mean, your guess is as good as mine, really. But the most recent report we have about Apple Car and Hyundai and Kia and all that fiasco is essentially that there are no talks going on between Hyundai and Kia. They put out like filings, I think like regulatory filings to say we are not talking to Apple, Hyundai aren't, Kia aren't. Their stocks fell quite a lot as a result after shooting up quite high on the back of some of the earlier rumors. Yeah, it seems I saw Mark Gurman wrote a story about this today, and it's what a lot of people have been saying, which it seems that Hyundai forgot the first rule of Fight Club, which is do not talk about your Apple Car deal in public. And well, I mean, I suppose it's very possible that the talks hadn't maybe materialized or had progressed as far as we maybe thought they had, and this is maybe just like a sort of a natural stop. Equally, it's very possible that Hyundai have sort of fumbled the ball and Apple have decided to pull the plug. Because they were out in public saying, hey, look, we're working with Apple, we're going to make a car. And Apple has decided no.
Turns out you're not.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
we won't even talk about the fact that it might have been some kind of stock market manipulation thing or any of those dark conspiracies.
We shouldn't be. Let's not sling accusations.
No.
That may very well be true. That certainly feel like they have a sort of ring of truth to them, but I'm no expert on that. But it's kind of emerged that in place of Hyundai, Kia, we're maybe looking at Nissan as a possible partner for this.
Yeah, there was a wild story. Like I say wild, this is really funny to me as a Brit, but British MPs were calling for the government to try and get in on Apple Car and like, bring Apple Car manufacturing to the UK, we'll make it here. Nissan does have quite a big manufacturing presence in the northeast of England. And I remember reading this week, they have quite a lot of capacity, like production capacity as well. And it seemed like a good fit. But I think sort of the only real takeaway from everything going on is that Apple may or may not be talking to like literally every car maker going to figure out like, hey, who can make a car for us? And I think the big certainty is that what we sort of heard in the run up, those Apple Car rumors have kind of gone on, is that Apple won't look to its regular manufacturing partners, Foxconn, Pegatron, that sort of thing, but we'll go with established car makers instead. And that certainly seems to be materializing. But as to who it could be, you're totally right. Nissan has their name's been thrown around. There was a story, I think, that Apple was in talk with at least 6 different kind of Japanese car manufacturers. So yeah, there was a lot of kind of buzz and chat and noise. Yeah, who knows? Who knows what's going on?
I still am surprised that they're not talking to the more the more expensive car manufacturers. I mean, not that Nissan are cheap, but I mean like the prestige brand, like the Lexus and the BMW and Mercedes type.
I actually, Karen, I did want to get your take on this because you were pretty down last week on the idea of a Hyundai built Apple car, a Kia Apple car. So
maybe that's why the talks fell through. Right?
they just listened to Karen. It's like, this doesn't. She's right. This doesn't feel right.
And no drag. I mean, we have a Kia, and it's a very nice car. I had no problem with it. I think it's a great car for most people. But when you think of Apple making a car, you just, I don't know, you think a little higher end, but
think a little more Audi,
right?
Because there have been reports that I think it was Ming-Chi Kuo who said that the Apple car will be more expensive than a Tesla, which is about the most expensive mainstream electric vehicle I think you can buy. There are obviously more like a BMW, like an i8 or something that are, kind of like elite or like supercar, but yeah, but then I guess the other question is, if Apple got Hyundai or Kia to build an Apple car, would it have a Hyundai badge on the front? Would it have an Apple logo on the front? That would be really weird, I think. Like, are Apple looking for, partners, or are they looking for factories? There's so much kind of in play and stuff. But I admit, kind of like you, I was really I want to say, I think I was quite surprised when I was like Hyundai and then Kia were kind of the front runners. It did take me aback a little bit.
It's just funny with cars, because you have sort of like a gut feeling about car manufacturers, whether it's warranted or not. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Like, I'm not really a car person, but you just know, like you hear Lexus, or you hear Audi, or you hear, you just automatically think, oh wow, you just don't think, if your friend gets a Kia, you're like, oh great, congratulations. But if your friend gets an Audi, you're like, well, wow, I didn't know that the such and such business was so hot,
Stephen in the chat makes a very good point that Nissan actually owns or has Infiniti, which is their like luxury car brand. Yeah. So who knows?
Yeah, absolutely. But still, I'm just saying, like, Nissan doesn't have that same like immediate factor that that some other car manufacturers do.
Yeah,
Would you buy an Apple car?
I don't know what to make.
Would you buy an Apple car?
Would I buy an Apple car? I mean, if it's Maserati priced, no. If it's Nissan priced, maybe. I don't know. I have to see what it actually is.
There's so much like when you buy a phone, right? You need a phone, and maybe like you need a cell plan, you need Apple Care, maybe you want a case or a couple of accessories. But with a car, like you need there's so much else beyond, like the car's almost not like the cheapest part, but there's the car is the base price. And then you obviously need a driving license, you need insurance, you're going to have to pay tax, and then you're going to have all sorts of different, like in the UK, you'd have like an MOT that you do every year, services, that sort of thing. Like it's a crazy kind of ecosystem to get into when you think about it.
For sure. And upkeep is a big thing. I know certain cars are very expensive to own because the parts are extremely expensive and not everybody knows how to work on them. I mean, think about it. Can you take an Apple car to your corner mechanic if there's a problem? Or do you have to go to a specialized Apple mechanic?
Yeah.
That's a wild scene.
Yeah. Is insurance going to be way more expensive with something like the Apple car? Or is it going to be cheaper because it's a safer car, because it's all automated, and, I expect it's going to be self-driving and all those kinds of things. So it should be safer. And so I don't know.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. One analyst said, like, don't expect the car to have a steering wheel. like you'll just sort of kind of like a pod that you'll sit in and go places. But yeah, it's tough to think that there's probably someone at Hyundai who has just cost the company like $3.6 billion worth of investment by adding the word Apple to a press release.
It's the golden goose.
Everyone wants to land an Apple contract. I think weren't a lot of their suppliers' profits up this year based on, nothing else, the strong iPhone sales last quarter.
Yeah, definitely. So when when Apple comes to the table, everybody in that sphere benefits. You're totally right. It wouldn't just be Hyundai and Kia. So it's cost somebody a lot of money, I imagine.
Definitely. Probably, if all of this is what it looks like, it probably costs at least one person their job too, which is unfortunate.
Somebody said, Steven said in the comments, will there be drive up Genius bars? I like that.
Drive through Genius bars, maybe. Yeah.
Yes, I put in a vote for drive up Genius bars.
Yeah,
that are just for the car.
Yeah, and it would. I'm picturing it including a car wash as well, because I feel like there would be special like Apple car washes that would be
special Apple cloths to buff the polish and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, how
your mechanic's got like a blue t-shirt and like a lanyard on.
And you know how on a car wash they've got the big messy looking wipers. I feel like an Apple car wash would be, I don't know, they use sonic technology on everything.
Yeah, it would look like a Dyson like Airblade or something. It would look like a Dyson level car wash, I think would be.
Yes. I mean, heck, Apple could partner with Dyson to make these amazing car washes. Just falling here.
and you leave the car wash going like, did they do anything? Did anything? Like it doesn't look, no water hit your car. No.
No. Or it'd be like phone soap.
Yeah.
It's just all the germs
like a UV light.
UV light. Yeah. They give you special goggles when you go through.
Yeah.
Or a shade comes up in the car to go into cleaning mode.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think that maybe probably the one big takeaway is like Apple Car, like rumors have been around for a long time, but there was like, hey, Apple's making a car. And then it was like, oh no, actually Apple's making like an autonomous driving platform that it will like sell to vendors, like Intel would sell a chip to a laptop maker. And so like Mercedes would buy Apple's Project Titan and then they would create their own self-driving car using kind of Apple's technology. And we seem to have swung all the way back to Apple is creating like a car with 4 wheels and a steering wheel, and which I think is
not a
really
steering wheel.
Maybe not steering. Yeah, sorry, I did just say that. So yeah.
Well, it's interesting to me. I've heard the same reports that you did. I've done my own set of reporting on Project Titan. Because it's been years that we've been hearing about this. I was still but a baby newsman when we first started hearing about Project Titan. And the thing that always struck me about those rumors that it's not going to be a car, it's going to be a platform, is that's just not something that Apple really does. Like it feels like there are certain segments of the industry, or maybe just industry analysis, that really want Apple to do that and like provide their chips or just provide software to lots of phone manufacturers or things like that. And Apple doesn't do that. Apple's not going to go through all this work just to provide the platform. And they're not,
to let someone else take all the glory.
Well, it's more than that. Apple doesn't want to lose control. They don't want to lose quality control.
Oh yeah.
If they just sell that platform to any car manufacturer, who knows what kind of junky car you could end up with. And
a Reliant Robin with an Apple Car self-driving platform.
Yeah. And you guys are too young to remember the Pinto lawsuits, but it was a popular car in the 70s. And if you hit it just the right way, the whole thing would explode. So
it sounds like a terrible car.
Yeah, it was. But it was very popular until that started happening. So Apple doesn't want to end up in a Pinto.
Yeah.
Maybe there'll be like a you're driving it wrong scandal where like Apple cars keep crashing. It's your
thing. Yeah, right. And, one thing that I thinking about, I keep hearing about flying cars. Okay. This is a fantasy I've had since I was a little girl. And I keep hearing news stories about like flying taxis and flying drones, like with people inside. I just wonder if this is what Apple is planning to come out with, like not just a car, but like a flying car.
Oh no! So
didn't Elon Musk say this week?
Yeah,
that
it's funny you bring that up.
The Tesla Roadster, the next one, to be like a hover car.
Yeah, I think he was on a podcast this week, and he wants the Tesla Roadster to be a hover car, which that's great, Elon. Good for you. That's what you want.
Is there any chance that Tesla and Apple would ever team up, do you think? Because I
No.
feel like they don't like each other at all. Like there's a rivalry there or
Yeah,
something.
I think in terms of corporate culture, I don't think anybody likes Tesla.
That'll be the new iOS Android like argument, won't it, in the automotive industry? Apple Car or Tesla. It does seem like they are sort of diametrically opposed. Like if Apple did release a car, it would be, muscling in directly on the market that Tesla is trying to unlock.
And right. I've seen people say that Apple's the biggest direct threat to Tesla, which I'm not sure about. I think like GM or Ford or an established car maker that are starting to make decent, well-ranged electric vehicles is probably more of a threat to Tesla. But actually, Karen, going back to your point about the Apple, sort of providing a drivetrain, like Tesla has been said for a long time to be developing this technology, so in part it can like license its battery technology to other car manufacturers, and that would be the new Tesla is open or Android is open and Apple is closed sort of argument there. And I was thinking about this actually, I don't, Apple providing a platform seems so unlikely to me, because like, is Apple going to want to see a product that is like the Mercedes-Benz Apple edition, or are you going to want a Mercedes-Benz edition Apple something? Like, think about the Apple Watch. You don't have an Apple edition Hermes watch. You have an Hermes edition Apple Watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think it's sort of the platform side of it has kind of been portrayed as like a fallback for Apple, is like, oh, if the like making the car doesn't work out, they've invested. Well, they reportedly have like thousands of employees working on this, so that's a lot of time, and money. So they would want, I guess, they would want to get something out of it if like the car aspect of it fell through. So,
and also building the platform first is what you have to do when you're, actually testing it out, because you're not going to just build a car wholesale. You're going to attach this stuff to existing vehicles.
Yeah. Crash somebody else's cars while you figure it out before you make your own.
Get a Honda.
Yeah.
Crash that first. So moving on from Apple Car, I wanted to talk a bit about Siri. This isn't rumors. This is new that we've really discovered in the last week or so about this beta that we're in currently, iOS 14.5 beta 1, revision 1, I'm going to say. I don't know if I think everyone that had beta 1 got revision 1 of that last week as well. But it turns out Apple's been doing a little bit of work on Siri and music. So yeah, it came out this week that users of the iOS 14.5 beta will be able to change their default music player via Siri. Stephen, can you go into this a little bit?
Yeah, so this is it's a feature that a lot of people have been clamoring for a long time. And did Apple announce that this was coming? Or no, it was with the HomePod, wasn't it? Apple came out and were like, the HomePod is going to start supporting these third-party options. And yeah, now it's sort of come to iOS 14.5. So now when you ask Siri to play a song in iOS, you can, well, I guess it's for the first time, I think. So I don't know if you have to, if you're using kind of Siri already, you're probably going to have to go into settings and find this. I've not looked at it myself. But yeah, you can pick a bunch of third-party music streaming apps in addition to Apple Music and use that instead. Which is really, really exciting. I think I understand it works for podcast apps as well. I couldn't tell you which apps are supported. But yeah, really exciting. It means Spotify users, I guess, mostly, or Amazon Music,
so
are going to be.
I can shed a little light into this because I've played around with it a bit. First of all, it's not in settings yet. It's not like it's not like default browsers or default mail apps where you can go to an app section in settings and hit default app and select that one. It doesn't work like that yet. Which makes me think that this isn't, I mean, they've made a server side change
Yeah.
that is supported by iOS 14.5, but the actual I've gotten that the thing to show up once, but you're supposed to be able to say change my music service and
Okay.
be able to pick again, and I haven't gotten that. It just plays music from Apple Music. And as in terms of podcast apps, I haven't been able to change that at all. And what I think is happening here, and what I've seen some developers talk about, is this is based on the Siri media intents hook that API that developers can integrate into their apps. So, podcast apps like Overcast or Castro or Pocket Cast can, or actually, hilariously to me, Dark Noise, the sort of white noise app, which is actually really great. They've got a wide swath of noises that I actually love, including the sort of tone of a spaceship on a sci-fi show, which is like in the background. But yeah, that you can select that as your default music app. So there's not a lot of intelligence behind this just yet. So
sounds about right for Siri. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know that it's quite ready yet.
Is there, when they did this with the HomePod, because Spotify, as I recall, doesn't, like, Apple released the ability to do this, but Spotify haven't taken advantage of it. Correct. Do developers need to, like with the email and the web browsers, do developers have to like put themselves forward or enable their apps to work with this?
I think they have to enable.
Yeah, it feels like there would have to be like a developer side change as well before.
Yeah. This current implementation in this beta for the iPhone and iPad doesn't seem like it requires developers to do anything. You just have to be using the intents as they exist now. On HomePod, actually, I've only seen one streaming service take advantage of it, and it's Pandora.
Yeah.
You can go into the Home app and switch between Apple Music and Pandora. But Spotify hasn't updated to take advantage of it yet. You've actually been able to use Siri to play music on Spotify specifically, like for a few months anyway.
Definitely. It works on Apple Watch. I know that already.
But I don't think you've been able to switch services. You've always had to specify.
Exactly. You would have to say, I don't want to say the magic words because I have a HomePod in the room and it will interrupt the podcast. But you would say like, sorry, play X, Y, and Z on Spotify, and then it would, like Spotify would come forth. But yeah, you'll now, I assume you can change that so that every time you ask Siri for a song, it will just come from Spotify automatically.
Yeah, I think so. When you get the menu, you tap the service you want to use, say Spotify, and then the next time you ask for an artist or a song or one of your Spotify playlists, you don't have to specify, which that's what we want.
Yeah. So yeah, the big news. I think a lot of Spotify. I mean, it really is. It's mostly Spotify users, isn't it? Who will be very excited by this.
Yeah.
And it of course comes kind of against the background of Spotify's complaint about Apple to the EU Commission and like all the antitrust stuff going on. So this is, I guess, kind of one kind of extra needle that Apple has sort of taken out that like Spotify can't use against them. So yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah, the bigger one for me that I want Apple to do some work on is the podcast angle, because I use Apple Music, so I don't need to change my music streaming service, but I use Overcast to listen to podcasts.
I just downloaded Overcast after using Oliver at iMore said I was really silly for using Apple's like generic podcasts app. I'd like never even considered that he says that to me about most things. I never really considered that like a third party app would be that much better. I'm only a few days into it, but yeah, I've just started using Overcast as well. Because I've found, I don't know if you guys have the HomePod Mini or have been using it, but with the new handoff feature, I found really temperamental. So like I'll be listening to a podcast and you just AirPlay it, or you ask Siri to play the podcast and it'll just carry on playing. I listened to like 15 episodes from my HomePod, and then my podcast app hadn't synced. So I had to like figure out which episode I got up to on my phone and like scroll through it. So then I tried to AirPlay it. And then after a while, the HomePod just kind of automatically hands it off. so you lose control from your phone. And I've done this with music as well. I was listening to music today. I was AirPlaying it, and eventually the HomePod just took over. So I went to change the song, and the song I'd selected started coming out of my phone whilst the HomePod kept playing the song that I was previously listening to. So
Wild.
yeah, it's all been a little bit all over the place at the minute. I think this handoff feature has still got some quirks and stuff that Apple need to figure out, because it is cool, but it doesn't work.
Yeah. Karen, are you a Spotify subscriber at all?
No, I subscribe to Sirius, and I have Amazon's, whatever comes free with Amazon Prime. I'm not like a huge music person. Like, I like to have it in, just listen to the radio basically in the background. While I don't have to have like this specific library of particular songs. I'm fine with just whatever. I'm kind of thin music. Sorry.
Yeah, my Apple Replay playlists tend to look like a lot of whole albums in a row for my top songs instead of jumping around like an actual playlist would. But
I don't have any playlists, but my kids all do. My kids are all willing to, even though they could get on my stuff all for free. I'm like, there are like 1 million songs on Amazon Prime Music that you can have for free. They're like, no, 1 million is not enough. So they pay for their own Spotify subscription. Like, they're big into Spotify. Like, okay, your money.
So this change will be good for them.
Yes.
Yeah, for the youngins who use other third-party music apps
to listen to Hippity Hop.
Yeah.
To listen to Hippity Hop and what is it, Rock'em Sock'em Robots or something?
Whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, that I think this feels like an interesting change to make now. I mean, we did have a big sort of update around the same time last year with iPads, although it was kind of a surprise with keyboard and mouse support. But yeah, this feels like it's something along those lines, but where it could go as a tentpole feature in a full OS update. We're how long? 4 months away from WWDC, probably.
Yeah.
And I don't know what do they have in store for us there?
Because 14.5 was a really big update, because Apple also added this like crowd, like for accidents and stuff. So you can now use Siri if you're driving or you're out and about. You can use Siri to call it like, hey Siri, there's been an accident or something like that.
Yeah, you can mark accidents, and there are 3 things that you could mark. Accidents,
speed traps, is that one?
I think, yeah. And I don't remember the third, but this is more of a sort of Waze set of features going into Apple Maps, which good. Just adopt, not steal, adopt the best features from all of the best mapping apps, and Apple Maps will one day be the one to use for everyone.
It's getting there.
Yeah, it is getting there. And also 14.5, we got the mask unlocking with Apple Watch, new game controller support. It's a pretty sizable update, and this new thing that has emerged this week is really launched it into sort of the stratosphere of what we used to think of as the 0.3 updates have become the 0.5 updates. Sort of based on the tradition of these spring updates, sort of based on the tradition of, I think, iOS 9.3, which introduced night shift. That was the one where it's like, whoa, this is a point update. What are we doing here, Apple?
This is big.
This is big. WWDC is only a few months away. You can tell us then. But no, they gave it to us now. So yeah, moving on from that, I want to talk. We talked a little bit about a couple weeks ago about Dan Riccio. He has moved on to a new role in Apple, with away from the hardware design team, hardware engineering. Sorry, that's where he was, and that's John Turnus now. Yeah,
don't quote me on that. Sounds right.
But yeah, so it now emerges, according to Bloomberg, that Dan Riccio is now in charge of Apple's AR and VR headset projects.
Again, I called it. Didn't I say he was either going to head up that or Apple Car?
Maybe it's both.
Yeah, Karen, we're gonna
There's only
get you
one letter difference between car and AR. Like,
That's right.
maybe something got lost in translation. I don't know. Somebody got a funky leak.
Someone
somewhere.
missed a C on that.
Yeah.
Karen, here's what I'm gonna do. I'll buy a Burger King meal and I'll post you the crown, and you can wear it on the next show.
keep the burger though.
Well, yeah, no, that's mine.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, Dan Riccio in charge of AR VR, and Karen, yeah, you called it. This isn't, because Karen is an oracle or something. This isn't surprising. She forewarned us. But yeah, that good. I think if you're going to put someone in charge of the project who's currently at Apple, like I would say, try to bring back Bob Mansfield, like pretty much always. But if it's going to be anyone who's still at Apple, Dan Ricci's the person to head this up, especially if it's getting close to like product time. Get him.
Yeah. It also shows the kind of how seriously Apple is taking this, I think, which is just good news all around. Like, it kind of confirms. I mean, I think it was like a given at this point that there's AR, VR coming from Apple. But yeah, it shows you that Apple are serious about it.
For sure.
Apparently, I'm just reading the story now. Apparently, Apple has more than 1,000 engineers working on an AR or VR project, which is pretty crazy when you
It's a big investment.
think about it. It is, yeah.
I was thinking, I feel like I've heard that number before. That's also like the number of engineers that were said to be on Project Titan, 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's massive. So here's a question: are we excited about the prospect of Apple AR or VR? Well, let's start with VR. Are we excited about Apple VR?
If I leave the podcast and I find $3,000 down the back of my sofa, then sure.
Yeah,
I'm stoked.
Yeah. I mean, I'm excited in a very general way. I feel like it could advance a lot of fields, such as medicine and science, and possibly contribute to scientific advancements where we can get better and quicker vaccines, and it might help make a cure for cancer somehow, by just being able to conduct all kinds of tests in virtual reality rather than having to have human subjects or animal subjects or anything like that. But like for me personally on a day-to-day, I don't see any applications that would matter.
Yeah.
Sorry, Stephen, go ahead.
I think I'm considerably more excited now I know that it's probably going to cost $3,000, just because that, it propels it into like a whole new level of, but before we were hearing like, it's kind of like an Oculus, this self-contained entertainment unit, which to me, I just think of like Beat Saber and like, that boxing game that everybody plays, and like ping pong and stuff like that. But if it's like $3,000 with like 2 8K displays, then that, Apple is not thinking about like Beat Saber and like kind of small time. There probably will be arcade games. I think Apple really understands the value of casual and accessible gaming, but it sort of opens up that whole upper tier of, AAA titles where maybe, Apple through AR is going to be able to support games that, you can't play on iPad or you can't play on Mac, that really you need like a $1,000, $2,000 gaming PC. And all the hardware to go with it. So I'm more excited now I know how much it costs, but conversely, it means I probably can't buy one. So swings and roundabouts, isn't it?
You're both more and less excited at the same time.
Yeah. To put it in perspective, the HoloLens from Microsoft, I think the HoloLens 2 is like $3,500.
That is correct. Yeah. And that's
so
like that's an enterprise thing, though, isn't it?
Enterprise and academic.
Your front room. Yeah. So it's kind of what Karen was talking about medical sciences and that sort of thing. So like 3,000, like, so that's a lot of money. Like $3,000.
To me, the real consumer product come out of this, and I think I've said this before, is the glasses that are supposed to be on the way, maybe next year or the year after.
Yeah.
And that is what I'm more excited about, is just, light notifications. Maybe I don't have to move a single body part. I don't have to raise my wrist. I don't have to put my hand in my pocket to get my phone. I can just move my eyes.
I don't know. Joe, try looking at your eyeglasses lens with your eyes, with your glasses on. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I don't
For
know
the
that
tape, Joe is pulling some very strange faces just now.
I know.
Where is it?
I'm fine just looking at my wrist. It's not that hard.
See, I said that about Apple Watch. I was like, this is a stupid idea. Like, who's going to want to look at their wrist to see a notification? Like, you'll just have to pull your phone out if you want to deal with it anyway. And Apple
And what's the latest estimate on Apple Watches?
Yeah.
How many are on people's wrists?
100 million, was it, or something today?
Yeah, it was like 100 million.
I feel like I would get a headache trying to read my glasses all the time.
Yeah.
Well, they have the models that exist today of these hollow glasses, as I'll call them. They have these projectors in them that make it look like the stuff is in front of you, so you're not like trying to look at the corner.
Yeah.
So it's like projected out. Is that what you're saying?
Kind of. It looked like you were looking at your computer screen or like a heads-up display on a car or something like that. As opposed to like kind of tucked away in the corner. You sort of have to...
That is a safety concern.
Yeah.
You get an email as you're crossing the street and you try to respond to it, but the light turns red, and well, there you go. I want the thing I would be really excited for is walking directions on like right in front of my face.
Yep, definitely.
The big old blue line.
Yeah. Or like tourism stuff. So if you're on holiday or something, you've got those directions, and then when you get to like a tourist attraction or a monument or something like that, you're kind of tapped into like a database, and you can see like information about the monitors, kind of like your own personal tour guide. Yeah, I think like that would be cool. Yes, like what Karen said, like between AR and VR and glasses, like there is like the application is enormous. Like the amount of things. Like there's probably an application for basically every sector you can think of. Like
engineering and all kinds of things,
all kinds of sport and stuff as well. So well as in-home entertainment and gaming, consuming content as well.
Now I haven't tried it, but Apple actually released its first Apple TV Plus related piece of AR content yesterday. For All Mankind, which comes back for its second season next Friday, which I'm really excited about.
I was gonna say you're a big For All Mankind guy.
I am a big For All Mankind guy. But yeah, I haven't tried it out yet, but apparently it's really good. The people who've tried it have said it's really good. It's an AR experience on the phone, and this is one of the things for me when I think about an AR headset that I'm really excited about, because AR on the phone, I think we've seen in the past few years as Apple's put more of an emphasis on it, is it's kind of limited by, it doesn't feel quite as magical or whatever, because, you've got to pull your phone out of your pocket. You got to open the phone. You got to do, and there's just so much,
keep moving it in and out while you try and like get the size of your table right before you.
Try measuring the virtual furniture in the room. I think the LiDAR sensor on the 12 Pro and Pro Max has really helped with that. But
Chris in the comment says he wants the Apple glasses to show the person's name that you're talking to. That would be a great application, although it brings up all kinds of privacy issues.
Really creepy. Is what that,
but you'd never forget an interaction again. That would,
it certainly would. And that person had that. It brings up their emoji next to their name too.
Excuse me, I'm just going to bookmark you. Can you wait for a second?
Just to click add to contacts. That'll be the new thing. You meet a new person, and like 20 seconds into the conversation, they do this to your face.
Did you just put me in your contacts?
Why would I? It's not surreptitious, certainly.
This AR time capsule looks really cool. The For All Mankind thing. You got like lots of different like props and stuff, like the lunar module and stuff from the show that you can, just like kind of blow up on your kitchen table or something and cool. Take a look at it. It's cool for like education as well. I'm sure there'll be applications for like the kids shows that are on Apple TV Plus. and stuff like that. And yeah, it just kind of brings it to life in a new way. But that is definitely one of the things I'd be excited for is, if I was watching a TV show or a documentary or something, like an AR application that would show me like, bits of the show, like in the real world, like, oh, look how like big this animal is or something like that.
Oh, there's so many applications for VR and AR in education.
Yeah.
From preschool, even younger, all the way through college and graduate school, professional school.
Yeah, medical school.
Absolutely. I mean, the possibilities are endless there.
The applications in medical education alone,
Oh,
I think,
yeah.
make it worth it. I'm just trying to imagine the sort of applications that you'd have to have for like law school. What are the AR applications of law school?
Oh, law school is all reading. It is all reading.
You could have like a courtroom simulation. Like,
yeah. Sure, but what for? I mean, it's so easy to set up with just people.
Yeah, this is true.
Law school is super boring. I went through. Started dating my husband when he was in his first year of law school. So I went through the whole thing, like as off to the side. It looked really boring. Wow. He spent 20 hours a day reading and writing.
Yeah, So I got to say, I am really encouraged that Dan Riccio's on the case for AR and VR headsets. It's they're taking this really seriously.
He could make law school interesting if he really wanted to.
Yeah. Apple will make the next generation law school, and it will be all about intellectual property and app stores and why you should be able to have only one app store on your platform that is controlled exclusively by you, and why Epic shouldn't get to have an app store on your device.
Oh boy.
That's Apple Law School right there. Moving right along, we've got another rumor. This week it's about folding phones.
So I put a poll out on Twitter from the iMore account asking about what people thought. And so we had like 300 people that responded. So the choices, I asked if you would want a folding phone in the next few years, and 64% of the people responded no, no, no. 64%, just fuck. 25% said if there's no crease, and 11% said yes, I'm fully on board. So I thought that was interesting. I mean, I want a folding phone. Why wouldn't anybody want a folding phone? Like if it was done really well, it has to be done right.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't want it. I don't want it, twice as thick in my pocket.
Yeah, no, I don't want a yucky one, but if it's really done well, I want it.
You hear that, Apple? Karen says not yucky. That's our guide star here. And well, I agree with
where, half
great design language. Yeah.
You know what? The first Galaxy Fold was a yucky phone. I'm not even making fun of you here. It was disgusting as a device, as just a piece of design. The newer Galaxy Fold, the Z Fold 2 or whatever, they changed its name, but it's like the evolution of the other device. That's better. It's much better. The front of the phone when it's closed it's all screen now instead of basically an iPhone 4 with giant bezels.
It's a real shame you like that, Joe, because as far as the most recent reports are concerned, the iPhone Fold will look nothing like that. So
yeah. Should make our old pal Lori happy, though. Yeah, because
I don't even care about the cosmetics or the aesthetics so much. I cannot handle if there's a crease in the screen. That's an automatic no. I cannot handle any creasing. But as long as
would you take like a Surface Duo kind of job with, it's like basically two displays that are attached by a hinge,
separate hinged displays.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't think so. I want it to like open up to like a nice big screen, so basically almost like an iPad Mini. But it would still be small, something small I could carry in my bag.
But yeah, the most recent report is that because Apple was reportedly prototyping two folding phones, one like the Z Fold, as you were talking about, Joe, and the other like the Z Flip, which is, you know, like the clamshell design, which apparently Apple has maybe settled on, or seems to be kind of getting all of the attention now. So if the most recent rumors are correct, and Apple comes through with a folding phone, it's going to be that smaller, I guess, the longer, thinner clamshell design rather than a kind of a folding.
Yeah, and
Like
that's
surface,
fine. Clamshell is fine as long as it doesn't have a crease.
Yeah, it's the crease is the one that really gets me. Now, Mr. Mobile over on YouTube, he has recently done a sort of long-term review of, I think it's a Lenovo, I want to say it's called the X1. It's a laptop netbook tablet hybrid thing that folds. It's a folding tablet with Windows on it. And I mean, there is a bit of a crease when you like show, you know, put it in the light the right way, but it doesn't look bad when you're viewing it normally. And I wonder if Apple can really, you know, bring us home on the no crease technology. Because I'm with you, Karen. I'm anti-crease.
And it's one of those things. It's like, you know, when, you know, first, like the iPhone first comes out, like 3 or 4 days later, there's a great big thread in the Apple community support forums about how easily the new iPhone scratches every year without fail. It would be exactly the same with the Fold. There would be, you know, just reams of people waiting for that, you know, the crease or the crack or the mark or the blemish or whatever to appear. It's definitely like a big risk. I remember, it was the first Galaxy Fold. I don't think like they're not the public, but like all the review units that got sent out.
Oh yeah,
all,
with
like,
the
quite
screen protector.
and they all had this kind of the same problem, like right in the center of the screen, about like a third of the way down and stuff. So
yeah.
it's definitely
that was
a
mess.
Apple
really
notes.
Yeah, something you want to make sure you've got right, I think, before you've you push it out. The other thing that this all comes from John Prosser earlier this week, and the other thing he said is that Apple is planning like a lot of different colors, but like bright, vibrant colors for the folding phone, which suggests it's kind of a bit more fun, less sort of like serious and polished compared to, you know, like the iPhone, like the Pro lineup.
Yeah, so like not a Pro.
Yeah, but it may be kind of like that. It will be like a slightly cheaper. I always assume that the Fold would be, you know, like current Folds, like a really expensive version of the iPhone, far beyond, you know, like what we pay now. But actually, it sounds like maybe Apple is thinking about positioning this as a, you know, like a fun phone almost for like teenagers or young adults and stuff, or like more for the general population rather than as a, you know, like a really high end phone for like pro or heavy users, something like that.
The iPhone 14, not the iPhone 14 Pro, or maybe it'll be its own separate fifth phone. iPhone 14 Fold. Well,
that would be a great way to solve the iPhone 13 naming problem that we talked about a couple of weeks ago, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
iPhone Flip.
Yeah, I just don't know about the whole clamshell thing. The colors, like having multiple like bright colors, makes sense if they're going clamshell to me, because it does feel more almost like accessory like instead of it. I don't see the sort of practical use of the clamshell design versus, say, the sort of folio design, like long fold. The book.
Yeah. The other thing as well is you've got to think about like the App Store and like developers and you know, Apple prides itself on this App Store with all these different apps from all these major developers and small developers and stuff. And if Apple released a phone with like a different screen size or aspect ratio, like every single one of those, unless there was like a, you know, like a Rosetta 2, but for aspect ratio that they could build, like then that's every single app has to be kind of remade and developed and stuff.
Not necessarily. For a clamshell, they could keep the same proportions.
I suppose, yeah, and then you could just have kind of an app on one side and an app on the other, or just
like when it's open, it would look just like a regular phone. It would have the same exact proportions, and then when it's closed, I mean, there'd have to be something separate on the outside, I guess. But the outside could be different. It could be more like an Apple Watch or.
Oh no, you You're totally right. I just got really disorientated with my
So one of the
clamshell would just be
things,
half the size of a normal iPhone.
so one
there
of
we
the
are.
things about I think it's the Z Flip, the first Samsung clamshell folding phone, is it's longer. Like it's notably longer than just their standard candy bar style smartphones.
Mhm.
It
But
doesn't
one of the
have
things,
to,
Hmm?
it doesn't have to be. I mean, either that phone
yeah,
was. I'm
well,
saying
right, you're right. But
it has to be the case.
but
I mean,
even if it is, one of the things that Apple's done for years in their SDKs is they've had these sort of they've had these APIs so that the not Windows, but like the app screen scales to the size of the phone, and you can always do special tweaks specifically for a certain phone size. So Pro versus Pro Max, maybe tweak that a little, maybe have the landscape mode version of that, how on the Pro and Mac, or the Plus and then Max phones, you've been able to turn them into landscape. But yeah, I assume it'd just be more tweaking for developers in their apps, and also,
but I mean, why not just make it exactly the same size as one of the other phones, and just like exactly this, and then just fold it in half?
well, that's the dream. It might be a question of electronics and making all of that, making those things work, like battery. Like the battery takes up the entire body of this phone. That's going to be a bit of a different story in a Z Flip. They're just going to call it the iPhone Z Flip. They're going to take the name. But in an iPhone Fold, and they're going to want it to be not twice as thick. They're going to,
Right.
When folded. So they're going to have to do new stuff with the battery.
Right. That's why we're not there yet.
Yeah,
exactly.
I'm still down on the iPhone Flip. Like little to zero interest for me personally. Just like,
well, that's the thing, and I've been thinking about this a lot, especially with the reports this week that the iPhone 12 mini might cut production next quarter, and it has it undersold versus Apple's expectations. And I don't know. Only Apple could really tell us that, and they don't. So the iPhone mini, let's say it sold 5 to 6%, that might be Apple's expectation.
Every year when Apple releases new iPhones, they always take some off of the lineup, and sometimes it is one of the previous year's models. It's not always taking off of the older end of the line. But so probably the mini might be one of the ones that gets cut when the new iPhones come out. But I can't imagine they're just going to stop selling it mid-year.
Right. But like the mini, the mini is, as phones have gotten more integrated into our lives, people have wanted bigger phones because they're more important devices. So they want a bigger screen to do all the stuff they do on them. So the mini has a special place in the hearts of many iPhone fans like you, Karen.
Yeah.
But it's still like a niche part of the market. In that same way, I would imagine an iPhone Fold is a niche.
Yeah.
Of all iPhone owners or fans, and so it would be, I think, just further diversification of the line. Like I don't think the mini's going anywhere. I think there are certain calls for there never to be another iPhone mini. Just feels very judgmental, but
and as Annie pointed out, I mean, the SE definitely cannibalized some of the 12 minis market, or vice versa. There's definitely some overlap in those niches.
Yeah, well, and the original SE, people bought it because it was cheap. That's why people buy the SE. They don't buy it because it's small. Even though people loved that Apple made a small phone again, that was a minority of that was going to be always going to be a minority of SE buyers. This time around, it's kind of standard. The SE is kind of standard iPhone size at 4.7 inches.
Right.
And so it's the price.
Right.
It's always the price.
Right. But if the SE didn't exist, There are still people that walk into an Apple store and say, just give me the cheapest phone. I don't care about, the bells and
Yeah.
whistles. So, the
But then
12.
they're going to get an 11.
Well, okay, yeah. So they
Yeah.
get an older phone, but I'm just saying, like, somebody wanted something that's newer. I want something newer, so it's not going to, so it's not going to be out of date soon. I want it to be able to get the updates and everything. I'm going to keep it for 5 years, so I want something newer, but I want the cheapest one.
Yeah, I'm also, and I've said this before, I'm curious to see what the iPhone 12 mini does for the rest of this year, going into like September and October.
Yeah.
For people who upgrade their phones over the course of the rest of this year,
Yeah.
is it going to be more popular than during the initial few months where the people who are buying iPhones are more hardcore fans?
Yeah, I think it will. I think we will see a slow, steady increase as the year goes on, because I think that most of the people that want the 12 mini type phone are not necessarily early adopters.
Yeah.
They're-
And I think it depends on how important is the phone to you as a daily device. If I spend all my day here at this desk on this computer, having a larger phone isn't as important to me. So I was never going to get the Max, but I do like the 3 cameras. So what I'm saying is Pro Mini Pro.
That's what I really want. I
You
really
miss the third camera.
I do miss the third camera.
Yeah. Yeah. That doesn't surprise me.
And when I start traveling again, I really am going to need that third camera.
Yeah. So Pro Mini Apple, just do that.
I
Go
know.
more niche.
I'm already starting to think about if I'm going to go up to the next size for my next phone and give up my little mini so that I can have that third camera.
Yeah.
Apple keeps on this path.
So it's heartbreaking is what it is.
Yeah. The battery's also, it's not good.
Yeah. I think Apple should use the Mini as a battery technology testing platform.
Yeah.
How low can you go?
Yeah, because it doesn't get me through the day. I'm using my phone way too much because I'm home all day playing with it or using it, but it doesn't.
And I wouldn't be surprised if battery if the people figuring that the battery life would be much lower contributed to lower sales.
Yeah. Well, they were right.
Yeah, it turns out they were right. Smaller phone, smaller battery.
I don't know if Apple's worried about the lower sales part of it though. I think the kind of the main purpose of the iPhone 12 mini is so that Apple can put on its billboards and its TV ads and in the store, iPhone 12 starts at $699, which is $100 cheaper, £100 cheaper than $799.
Yeah.
So that when people come in, they're like, how much is the new iPhone? Like, oh, well, it starts at $699, which is $100 more reasonable than what the phone most people want actually costs. And they're like, okay, tell me about the phone. We're like, okay, it's the iPhone 12 mini. It's pretty small. It's got this amount of battery life, whatever. Hey, if you like this, for just $100 more, you could have a bigger screen, much better battery life with the iPhone, the regular iPhone 12. I think it's to kind of lower the if you think about the iPhone as like a skyscraper, it's to lower the ground floor.
Absolutely.
The iPhone 12 lineup, make it more accessible to kind of more people who are going into the store. And yeah, literally just the optics of, saying iPhone 12 starts at $699, or if a carrier and you're advertising your contracts, you can advertise that 12 mini as your cheapest iPhone 12 contract when it's not the one that most people are going to go for, but it's going to draw more attention than, if you said our cheapest iPhone 12 is $799,
absolutely
for most people. So
absolutely, it's a classic sales tactic. I bought glasses this morning, and when I went in, they said, "Oh, we have a special deal. It's $240 for these glasses and for the frames and the lenses." I'm like, "Oh wow, that's amazing. I'll get them." And they're like, "Well, those are really the lowest end lenses, and you're going to need high index." And so I ended up spending, it's more like $600
on
the same frames. Just
my God,
upgrading, and those were not the most expensive. It's the psychology of these were, and what I bought, it's still only the middle of the line.
You went in for the iPhone 12 mini and they sold you a Mac Pro, is what happened.
Yeah.
See, here's the thing, not to get too off topic, but this is anybody who doesn't wear glasses, prescription glasses, might not know this, but glasses are a scam. They are.
I know. I have really bad vision. If you saw my prescription, you'd be like, "Wait, what?" It's bizarre. I don't want to get into it, but it's very bad. I'm not somebody who can get away with cheap lenses. Put it
And
that
I think it all stems from the fact that all of the glasses, especially like name brand glasses, are owned by like 3 different companies across the world.
Yeah, I know. It's complete ripoff. And I looked into getting them online, and I actually reached out to one of the online companies, and I tried to get the salesperson to explain to me, like they do when you go to a glasses store, when they get about the details of the lenses, and the salesperson really couldn't tell me anything. They're just like, "Oh, they're good. They're good. We have this coating." And I'm like, "But you're not telling me anything about the quality of the lens." So anyway, we're getting way off topic here.
This is why the iPhone 12 mini isn't selling very well.
Yeah.
this sort of thing. I do wonder sometimes, would it be different? Would the iPhone 12 mini be doing better if Apple marketed it as the iPhone 12 and then what is the iPhone 12 as like a 12 Max? Like if it was the actual, if it didn't have, mini after it, would it be doing better? Maybe not better than the Pro. The Pro really seems to be popular.
It might generate more interest because people, like when you hear iPhone 12 mini, you're like, oh, that's a phone for young people or people with very small hands.
Phone for ants.
Yeah, it needs to be at least 3 times bigger. And so I think if it was just called the iPhone 12, like, optically and kind of what you're hearing on the news or in keynotes and stuff, you'd be like, oh, that's the iPhone 12 that I want. And then you get it in your hands, you're like, oh gosh, this is tiny. And so
crush this.
And equally, you'd be like, well, if you got the iPhone 12 like Max, which is I guess that would be the regular iPhone, would sound to a lot of people, like an upgrade and make it maybe sound more expensive than it actually is. I don't know. It's just
really pleasantly surprised that it's not more expensive.
I mean, there's definitely a lot of psychology involved in sales.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a really interesting way to think about. What do people think of when they look at phones and go to buy them, and what's important? Is it price? Is it size? That sort of thing. But yeah, I think I mean, Apple's not selling the iPhone, like the 12 mini, at a loss. So whether it's disappointed, like you said, that's an internal matter. But I'd be surprised. I think it's done its job, which is to, like I said, lower the basement of the 12 range as a whole. So
I agree. People really want to get it.
I agree with you, Stephen, and I also think that Apple isn't making their big money on the hardware; they're making their big money on the services.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I mean, they still make big money on the hardware, but yeah, those services numbers this time, like this last quarter,
the profit margins have to be vastly larger on the services.
Oh yeah.
I mean, once they get them set up and running, it doesn't. How much more does it cost to have 1 million people versus 1,000 people on it?
Yeah. What's the server cost versus the recurring subscription fee?
Yeah, exactly.
How much of a server am I paying for with my Apple One Premier?
Yeah, it's like anybody who's worked in fast food knows, like the syrup for making soda costs almost nothing. It's mostly water and carbonation, and the drinks are almost pure profit, whereas the sandwiches actually cost money to make.
Yeah,
those drinks are good though. Real good.
All right, we have come down to the end of our hour. Had a good show this week, guys. Good job. I want to say thanks to our live listeners. It's always great to see you guys show up in the comments. Thanks to our listeners who will be hearing us later in their podcatcher of choice. As always, of course, thank you to the wonderful Jim Metzendorf for always making us sound great. And thanks to our special guest, Stephen. And Karen, thank you as always. All right, everybody. We'll see you later, because this has been the iMore Show.